Well, willkommen, goedenavond, and welcome to SAF1 Esports. My name is Webbo, joined by Tim in the comms box. Hey, Tim.
Hi, Webbo. How are you doing today?
I'm good. All the better to hear your voice and get racing and watching some good action. We're here to take part in the 10th round of this championship, where we see Matra very close to taking the crown this time out, possibly here in the Russian Grand Prix. But I know, Tim, you've been taking a closer look at the current standings for us.
Yes, and it has come to my attention that if our information is correct, Matrav pretty much just needs to finish today, and he has clinched the championship, of course, with Phantom. The only way that does not become the case is if Phantom is somehow able to outscore Matrav and Matrav gets a DNF. So Phantom pretty much needs to be finishing first and second in every single race with a Matrav DNF in order to have a chance at this championship. So far, it is Matrav's to lose. But last week was a very spectacular race that I unfortunately had to miss. But I have an update for you here and now. It was officially Neil who got his first win of the season. Phantom in second, third was Josh, and it was such a close battle to the end with Phantom pretty much right on the gearbox of Neil in order to take that checkered flag. And the standings, as we've said, Matrav in first with 260 points, Phantom with 202, and Don Rabico with 166. The constructor standings, Mercedes, big surprise to no one, is still on top of the spot with 294, 269 points for Ferrari, and the McLaren 259.
Fantastic. Yeah, last week's race was absolutely brilliant. Completely unpredictable around the streets of Jeddah for the first time at SAF1, and a somewhat unusual track we've got on our hands tonight. This is the Sochi racetrack here in Russia. I see Josh, or JR as we will refer to him for convenience on the screen. JR is the first car out of the pits in the Haas livery. Hi to SSL and to Conrad, who join us in the live chat. Anybody else who's watching along, do say hello. Tell us who you're here for. I know Conrad is cheering on Don Rabico, and I must just say a quick thank you to our sponsors. They are the quintessential photo and video works, Rabico Holdings and DR Developments, without whom we would not go racing in quite the style that we do. So Tim, out there, it looks like Phantom has just got past Josh, and it will be a first lap in flying conditions for the Ferrari driver Phantom, if you wouldn't mind taking us through a race around this Sochi Autodrome.
Well, down this front straightaway, it is a very, very long straightaway, and you see him using the curb there, trying to get a little bit of grip through that first corner, and then guess what? Another long straightaway, then very heavy braking. This is a very tight corner. It's easy to go wide there. You saw a little bit of a curve. You get that curve, and it's going to spin you around. It is very much a sausage curve that comes up off the ground, but you can use that little red and white curve to your advantage, as you saw Phantom do, to get some grip around that extended corner. And then here very shortly we will be entering into the second sector just about now, and again going wide and keeping it on the red and white curves, but being careful to not go too wide. A little bit of a sausage curve there on the inside of that right-hander. He just barely clipped it, and he was okay while avoiding the one on the left-hander. And now we are slowly approaching a DRS zone. This is when you're going to see a lot of overtakes. There was the DRS detection zone. There was the actual line. And now Phantom has got that DRS wide open down this straightaway. It's going to be a very tight corner here. As I said, a lot of overtakes going to be attempted, maybe a few successful, and a lot of them failed. Now in the third and final sector, this corner right here, it is an off-camber corner. So the banking is pretty much going the exact wrong way than what you would want it to, and it is going to be the bane of a lot of drivers' existence. Now it's a fairly straightforward and flat final two corners. Before you get out of that final corner, cross the line very close, and it's a 131.301 for Phantom.
Awesome, and very quickly beaten just very narrowly there by JR, who gets out there very quickly. And Zardi as well in the Alfa Romeo, 32.111, but JR has the provisional fastest time. We won't say pole because it's Q1. We will eliminate one or two drivers from this session depending on how Codemasters are particularly feeling. And I'm just watching Top Dog as he navigates that treacherous turn 15, 16. Tim, when you mentioned how it's the bane of several drivers' existence, I couldn't agree more. As soon as the grip goes suboptimal, to use a F1 parlance, you are scrabbling on the off-camber turns 15 and 16 for grip. You see so many spinalas down in that section. Top Dog goes third, though, in a 31.5.
Look now at our supreme leader of Quentin in the Red Bull. Yet you call him the supreme leader, and that he is indeed. Rounding the final corner, crossing the line, he goes to third, a 131.382.
Nice close times out there, Tim, already. First to fourth. Very tight, considering people are putting in their banker laps. I've got Simps out there who comes back. I think he might have a TV repair that has been actioned. He's been out of action in our league for a couple of races due to a mechanical at home, should we say. And a big hello to Armin, who joins us in the live chat as well. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy the race with us tonight. We're just in Q1 at the moment, and Simps throwing the car through Sector 1 and closing out his first sector, 33.365. I see Madtrav is out of the pits as well, so it'd be good if we can try and remember that and make sure we go see how his lap is doing. Usually he goes fast, Tim, in Q1 and Q3 and starts playing strategic games in Q2.
And sometimes that is just the name of the game, is strategy. You need to have a good strategy before you can be fast, or you know what, maybe you need to be fast before you need a good strategy. It just depends on what's happening in that race. There's really no, clear-cut, black and white example of what you are or are not supposed to do in a race, because there's all kinds of different scenarios that can happen that can throw your strategy out the window. Then you're scrambling for a backup plan if you don't already have one. Yeah,
absolutely. I was just looking at that turn 13 with very narrow braking as you're turning. You're turning through turn 12 with DRS, and you're trying to brake into turn 13. You mentioned that we may see some overtaking there as Simps goes third, but I always feel that on that turn 13 the braking marker boards are just not in the right place at all, and you get such poor braking performance into turn 13. It's really frustrating. It feels to me like they're too far back away from the apex of the corner.
It's just a weirdly designed track overall, the Sochi track. And it's not that I dislike it. I actually, at least somewhat enjoy this race course, but it's so very strangely designed. Right.
It was back when I think Herman Tilke believed that off-camber corners were the way to go, and he just liberally sprinkled this racetrack, which was a clean sheet design as long as it took in all the Sochi special architecture for the Olympics. Yeah, he definitely had a bee in his bonnet at the time about these off-camber corners to force errors and therefore close up the racing. But it just hasn't really worked that way. It's basically just a Valtteri Bottas track, really. Madtrav.
Has Herman Tilke ever raced before? Answer me that.
I believe not. No, I really don't believe so.
Why is he designing racetracks for one of the highest levels of motorsports in the world?
Madtrav goes pole position, 30.7. I have a feeling that was a partially rhetorical question from my colleague in the box. But a 30.7 is half a second faster than JR, and that'll put a dampener on everybody's spirits. I think if they were feeling like their laps were good, it hasn't worked out that way. But yeah, the Tilke issue is very interesting. I think that the Jeddah circuit was not designed by the Tilke team, and the update to Abu Dhabi was not approved by Tilke. So I think there is a little bit of diversity coming in to the FIA procedure, but I believe at one point Tilke was the only approved FIA designer, so that's why he did them all. Duxter goes P11 on a 39.654. But yeah, I'm not really a fan of these clean sheet racing track designs anyway. I prefer designs that follow the topography of the land, much like the classic circuits always did. But COTA is perhaps the big shining example of how to design a racetrack.
COTA's very interesting.
Yeah.
Actually not being biased, I do enjoy Kodak.
No, it is a spectacular place. I can't say I'm any good at driving it, but it's very very good track. It's got a little bit of everything. I'm just watching
we
with.
have an Alfa Romeo around, actually. Not sure who that is. That could be Zardi or Jaime Alonso. Let's take a look here. It was Zardi, actually,
yeah.
who was around, and he does not have a front wing, so he could have to pull into the pits and get that fixed.
So a little complaint in the driver chat about some frame rate drop on the driver's side, getting it for the first time ever as far as Quintin's concerned. I haven't heard anybody else mention it at this stage. Ryan joins us as well. Hi to Ryan, who joins us to take in tonight's racing here, or qualifying as it is right now. I'm on board with Royal Viking as he comes to complete his first banker lap. Unfortunately, it's the slowest complete banker lap so far out there, a P13, some 1.8 seconds away from Madtrav's fastest time. And Madtrav has, he's packed in. He's decided it's time to go get a drink or something to eat. He's not going to gain anything going any quicker. And yeah, retired from the session already, Tim.
So does that go for the commentators? Because I know that I could probably use something to eat right now.
Well, yeah, if you need to, by all means. I grabbed some. Oh, there we go. As Xander had a huge moment in that turn 16 sector on his lap. Unfortunately, that means it's time to come in and get some new tyres. Scrubbed that one completely clean, and it's not going to happen for him. Tiago, I think, is on an in-lap right now. He's currently 10th, 31.8. I'm looking at the laps. I think possibly not Schumi might be our next best guy to go for in this resplendent Aston Martin.
John Ravico just wondering if he is going to be able to set a lap time this time around. He did invalidate his first flying lap, so I've been watching him. So far so good as he is entering that very interesting turn 13 and using a big bit of that sausage curve. Definitely scrubbed off some speed there, but it's so hard to get the angle into these corners right, and of course going through that off-camber corner. Maybe we should call that the tilt corner. I'm not sure. But Don Ravico, just 2 more corners to go in that McLaren, and then we'll see what kind of lap time he can lay down. He will stay out on this racetrack, good enough at least for a banker lap. Crosses that line, he goes to 11th, a 131.900. He should be pretty safe there as long as no one else gets super fast.
Yeah, a good banker lap for him with just under 6 minutes to go before the first checkered flag of the evening. Not Schumi now into turn 13. A little bit smoother. Did you see something on track, Tim, away from the stream?
It was just Don Ravico. After he crossed the line, he kind of moved over to let another competitor by, but in doing so, he got into the wall. So, luckily for him, he doesn't need to make another lap.
No, indeed. Not Schumi then, sprinting for the line, and it's good enough for P7. 31.632, just 7 thousandths of a second away from Duxter. And we've got a nice tight field spread, as we often see here in SAF1. Xander is in the garage, trying to check out his telemetry and work out where he went wrong. Lots of other drivers in the garage right now as well. I'm looking, I don't think anybody's actually on a hot lap right now, but I wish you a happy Williams Day, Tim.
Happy Williams.
Happy Williams Day. It was the Williams livery reveal, I think you could be kind to call it today. I don't know, I presume you haven't seen the new livery yet?
No, I have not. I was asleep. See, that's what happens when there's a 5-hour time difference.
Yes, well, of the liveries you've seen so far, what do you favour?
Well, the Haas is terrible, I'll say that right now, but I do enjoy the McLaren.
Let's keep it positive. The McLaren looks good. It's got a lot of negative reaction, actually, which surprised me. I really like the black and the flashes of blue. It's very interesting. Matty retires from the session in P10. Quite happy with his evening's work so far. For me, I think Aston Martin have won it on style points so far in the new liveries. Let us know what your opinion is in the chat, especially if you approve of the new Williams livery and whether it's worth Tim having a look. for an opinion.
I'm gonna look it up anyway.
It is very, very lacking in sponsor names, I have to say. So, somewhat worrying for the Grove, I should say, squad there. Top Dog getting through this lap. He's gone out on his old soft tyres, not wishing to scrub another set in, but Hamrick, Viking and Xander all on outlaps on brand new tyres. That is assuming that the game is telling me our true tyre usage data. Sometimes it's a little bit guarded as to what it wants to reveal. Top Dog I have yet to see go top of any standings, so very much needs to live up to his name as far as I'm concerned. Quintin decides P6 is good enough for Q1. Just under 3 minutes to go.
And Top Dog, he will not be in
No.
the top standings this time either. P7 for him. We were watching the same guy, but now we'll take a look at, or at least I will take a look at Zardi in the Alfa Romeo. He's kind of cutting it close there toward that line, and he's going into the pits, so likely will not be able to improve his lap time in this session.
I'm going to hang out with Xander for a little while. See, he just went wide, but managed to feather the throttle and keep the car valid on this banker lap. Of course, the slightest mistake, if you've left it right to the edge and he goes wide again and hesitates on the throttle just sufficiently to keep this lap alive. So difficult when you put all the pressure on yourself. Xander 105.560, his sector 2 time. So now the super low grip section of the track, which Tim has christened the tilt corner coming up. That's this one. And I will take any corner name suggestions, frankly, for a track with no names whatsoever. I will always prefer a named corner to a no name. Whoa, wow, right around the outside goes Xander. And to the line, it was a 32.237. No major improvement for him. Hamrick and Royal Viking just finishing their laps as well. Royal Viking, he will be the next one to cross the line, and it's up 1 place, gained a 10th. But Hamrick would have the right to reply, but unfortunately has gone invalid on that one. So 1 minute 11 to go before the checkered flag. If we get that far, because some of the drivers are already retiring from the session. Lord Mahavir joins us, and he says, let's go. Matrav for a stonker in Q3, calling it now. Well, not the bravest call I've ever seen, but probably pretty accurate, Tim, to predict a pole position for Matrav.
Yeah, I would pretty much say so. And, quite frankly, Matrav, he had from what I've seen of it, he had a good race going, but unfortunately last week just got into the wall, and it was just a big game of catch-up, or could have been, anyway, for Matrav until it was a DNF for him last week. Yeah,
one of the things that didn't make the little highlights video was the fact that he got a double puncture after the first contact with the wall, and just could not get the car to the pits. He tried, he valiantly tried, but he just couldn't get the car back for repairs. So I'm sure he would have had a go, and he has promised us that if he wins the championship tonight, that the final 2 races he will start playing around a bit and do some last to first or wet tyre challenges or something, just to give us some entertainment for the end. But of course, it's not all about who wins the championship, it's all about where people place throughout the standings. And if you want to get an update on that, Tim did go through all the standings at the start of this video, but we'll be talking about the minor placings, of course, as soon as the champion is crowned. Well done, Rabico, up to P9 with a 1/4 of a second improvement. Probably the last of the improvements we are likely to see out there. Possibly Duckster. No, definitely not Duckster with that invalidation. Hamrick is purple through the first sector though, and after last week, I felt so sorry for Hamrick last week, Tim. He retired from Q1 after half a lap, and then retired from the race after half a lap, with crashes in both sections. Oh, an invalidation at the very death of the line. So unfortunately, Hamrick will not register on that one. Josh is watching and gaming at the same time. JR says hey to us. But Tim, if you'd be so good as to take us through the finishing order of our Q1 session.
Matrav takes the top spot in the qualifying 1, JR Designs in second, Phantom in third, Duckster in fourth, Simpson fifth, Quentin in sixth, Top Dog in seventh, Natsumi in eighth, Don Rabico in ninth, 10th is Ami Alonso, Maddie in 11th, 12th is Diego Maestro, Zardi in 13th, 14th is Xander, then Royal Viking in the 15th spot. They will advance to Q2, and then you have Hamrick, who is the only driver, it's looking like, according to what I'm looking at, who will not be able to advance. He had a 132.436, so close, but in validation right there at the end, sees him in 16th.
He would have had it. I feel pretty confident, but that final corner exit just was the undoing of Hamrick. So we wish him much better luck, and actually he might do well just to be a little bit sluggish off the line from the start lights in the race. He can go and reset and get himself ready for the next session that he will take part in at the start of the race, of course. But yeah, I hope he gets much better. I don't know if you're seeing kind of Minecraft characters in the stands, the middle tier of the stands above the garage, Tim. I've never seen anything quite so awful in my life.
Well, why were we looking at that at the exact same time? I was just sitting there watching them with just a dead-faced stare, go ahead and clap at absolutely nothing happening on the track, and I'm like, why are we forced to view this?
But they've all got square heads. I've never seen anything like it. Oh, Codemasters, brand new glitch for me.
Fix.
Minecraft heads in the crowd. Brilliant stuff. Right, we've got some cars on track. Let's go see some racing cars. Phantom is out first, as he was in. Well, he was second, but he started his lap first in the previous session. So Q2, this will see everybody, Tim, set their racing tyres and try to get through to Q3 on their starting tyres.
And it is very crucial that you make the right decision here. And obviously, ideally, if you could somehow find a way to have the pace to start on the pole with the medium tires, then one could argue that you have a better advantage than the rest because you are faster than everyone on that slower compound tires. But that's our ideal world that we can't always live in. So let's take a step back a little bit and let's understand that the top 10, obviously, whoever qualifies in the top 10, they're going to have to start on these tires. So you see right now a few drivers choosing the mediums, but most of them going out on the softs. But those drivers who choose the medium tires, if they are happy with their lap time and stick with the medium tire, they can extend that first stint out a little bit longer. They might be a little bit slower at the start. But if they're fast enough on the medium tires in their first stint, then they can use the soft tires in their second to really make up that gap and maybe even be a little bit better, for lack of a better word.
Absolutely. Phantom is breaking down into that tricky turn 1-2, which the on-track drivers in F1 really disliked, that turn 2, especially that sausage curb and the automatic deletion of lap times that occurred. I'm sure that's still written into the code, but it seems less of a problem in the virtual world, Tim, that turn 2.
And I really don't like the sausage curb either, so I have to agree with them. It's just very annoying, and I understand why it's there. It's there to keep drivers from cutting the corner, but if it's there to keep drivers from cutting the corner, then what's the point of track limits? Either put a sausage curb there or put track limits. There's no reason for both, but that has been an ongoing debate that is nothing new.
Yeah, absolutely. Phantom in the Ferrari then is progressing through this lap, of course, a purple sector for his first lap of the session. Shout out to anybody else joining us in the league, in the live chat, I should say. Do stop by and say hello. Should be in for an entertaining race tonight if the last 2 or 3 races are anything to go by. Phantom throws the car into the final corner, goes a 31.234. Nice time from Phantom out there. Now, what we'll probably see here from... just too late to see Matrav. He did his usual trick there as Quentin goes second. Matrav approached the line at full racing speed on soft tyres, Tim, and then slowed to make sure that he won't start on those tyres. 134.835 Matrav has registered already.
So is it safe to say that Trav is wanting to start on the medium tires.
Yeah, absolutely. He will go out there shortly on his second run and go for a medium. He'll go for fastest time on the mediums, which I think he managed the last race as well. But yeah, he just does this little game to make sure that he doesn't finish dead last and sets a banker on the soft tyres. But yeah, not to be believed that his pace has suddenly increased by 3 seconds.
Oh, well, of course not. It's like if, Lewis Hamilton went out there and suddenly you found him not being able to qualify quicker than 7th.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure Matrav will very much appreciate the comparison. But his dominance has been like a strong Lewis year so far this season, and he is trying to wrap things up with time to spare. He could win it tonight if he finishes, and we should say Phantom fails to win. Oh, Matty goes P5, 32.219 on medium tyres. Nice split of strategies so far out there, as Jaime Alonso is getting into the tilt section. Well, and he almost tilts off before the worst corner of turn 15. That's 16, which he's surviving, but I can just expect cold tyres, restart laps, or tyres at the very end of their stints. We're going to see some pirouettes going on in that section. 31.542 for Jaime Alonso, right next to his teammate Tim.
And now taking a look at Royal Viking, but we'll go ahead and take a look at Zardy, who is Jaime Alonso's teammate, but he just went into the pit, so I'm going to have to go back to Royal Viking, who's going to be starting his flying lap here in just a moment. See, that always happens to me, though. I'll go ahead and look at somebody, then they just decide to dive down into the pits just to tease me. But taking a look at Royal Viking, that number 27, AlphaTauri, just started his flying lap, going to be looking for a good fast lap around here. He has decided to take the soft tires, at least for his first lap. We'll see if he sticks with it at the end of this session, but so far so good through the first 3 corners. Let's see how he takes the very prolonged left-hander. He's actually taking it very wide, then arcing it, but not using that curb. So not sure if he doesn't realize that there is some grip on that curb, or if his setup just quite cannot handle it, because that's the thing. I talk about that curb like it's a universal grip giver, and it's really not. It does depend on your setup and your driving style.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. Viking looking a little cautious, I think it's fair to say, on this lap attempt, but not cautious enough. Wow.
That's a shame for Royal Viking, but he does have some time to pull into the pits and put on a fresh set of tires and go out there again. But now I think he's just letting another competitor by. Yes, it is the McLaren of Don Rabico who's going to go by now. He's on a flying lap. Yeah,
that papaya orange McLaren looking brilliant in the sunshine of Russia. Sunshine is predicted and dry conditions for the whole session. I haven't got an actual update on track temperature, but I'm assuming fairly warm. Although I don't know if the game accurately represents Russian air temperatures, despite the sunshine, but I think there'll be plenty of grip out there today.
Don Rabico rounding the final corner. As he crosses that line, he will go to second, a 131.294.
Nice lap from Don Rabico, as Ferrari had a stranglehold on the top 2 positions, with Thiago going 31.464, joins Simps as he crosses the line, P7 for the returning Haas driver. And there's a bit of a bromance budding between the Haas teammates. We discovered some very warm feelings and messages going back and forth between Simps and JR. So they've made firm friends, and let's see how long that lasts once they're on track racing hard together.
Well, I can speak from personal experience. I actually race in a separate league on Mondays, and I have a nice bromance with my teammate. So if you really want to just work together and you want to set your sights on getting points for the team rather than competing with each other, then I think that's how it can really work. Now, granted, I will say that me and my teammate, we rarely do find each other out on track, but we're still always making sure that we work together. And I think that is what is key, is you need to work together with your teammate. It's not going to benefit you to fight each other like we see in real life F1, and like we see people trying to say that you need to fight your teammate, you need to beat your teammate. No, you need to work with your teammate. That is the whole idea of the team.
Definitely. Matrav goes 1.1 seconds faster in the first sector alone, Tim, on medium tyres as well. And he goes invalid. So just pushing slightly too far, putting the pressure on himself here, because I'm not sure his banker lap is safe. Well, it's certainly not safe to get through. Duxter goes a new pole, and I regret not staying with Duxter, who goes 130.991. Not pole position, of course. Webber, don't be stupid. This is Q2. So getting a bit excited seeing a new driver at the top of the standings as JR is navigating that tilt section and is about to finish off his lap. Dom Rabico is pretty satisfied with his Q2 session so far. He's retired from the session in P3. JR goes P6 on mediums, and that could be pretty important for later on, Tim.
That it could. A 131.4904 JR Designs now waiting on Matrav, who will likely be going out here sooner. Actually, looks like he just did go out, but might have invalidated his first flying lap, so he's on his second flying lap now. We'll see how Matrav is at the end of his second lap on the medium.
Quintin, new fastest time, 30.8. The track evolution is working. Not to take anything away from Quintin, we join Matrav on a second attempt on this set of medium tyres. He invalidated about halfway around the first lap, so it's still fairly useful to set a time here. Quintin from Duxter, Phantom, Domravico, Top Dog. Currently in the danger zone, we find Not Shumi, Viking, Matty, Zander, and as we ride with championship leader Matrav, champion elect, should we perhaps dare to say. Maybe if we say it, it won't happen and it will take it to the end of the championship. I don't know. That would be unkind. His strengths have been evident for all to see this year. Matrav closing out Sector 2. Get an update now. 1.494 seconds faster through Sector 2 than he's been before. We know he lifts at the end of the lap, but clearly gaining ground with a purple middle sector on medium tyres is a pretty special lap indeed. Big counter steer on the way through turn 16, almost lost it into the wall. Regathers, and it's one corner to go. Keep it within that curb, and it's a new pole position. Fastest time 130.793, Tim, on the medium tyres.
And a stellar lap from Matrav, of course. Probably no surprise to anybody there. So Mercedes, interestingly enough, first and 15th, first and last in this session, at least so far, but just over 3 minutes to go. That could change, but right now, Sander, he is in the pits, so that's not going to be changing for at least a couple of minutes.
Yeah, Jaime Alonso, P4, nice time from him as well. He had a heartbreaking spin in Jeddah last week after making up lots of ground in the race, so looking for a little bit of redemption out there today. He'll be hesitant if we have another restart. I wonder how many nightmares he had between last week and this week about safety car restarts and being punted around. Zardi just threading the needle through these repeated 90-degree right-hand corners, which if it weren't for different sponsor hoardings on the side of the track, you would not know where you are around here.
Sorry. It'll look a little bit like home for me, looking like America. Nothing but advertisements and commercials.
Yes, indeed. And very few in Russian as well, which is always a shame. You kind of want to see some Russian characters around on the advertising hoardings, but obviously we're an international sport and the international business language is English, so it's just the way it goes. But Zardi in the Alfa Romeo, his teammates put in a good performance up to P4. What can Zardi do? They were close after the results of Q1. Short shifts up to the line and they're close again, Tim. 1/10 apart.
So meanwhile, this whole time, I've been watching Diego Maestro, the only other driver who has set his lap on the medium tires. and he is in 10th at the moment, a 131.464, but trying to improve as he actually has a little bit of a slide. I think we saw both of that, and that was an impressive save from Diego Maestro.
That was Code Brown. That was easily a Code Brown in the cockpit there for me. As he already gained, but I think he's slowing, Tim. I think he's letting JR by, so he knows the lap was scrubbed.
Now he can at least start another flying lap, and he still has a chance to do well. The best thing that he can do though now is to turn his hot lap off and just try to limp around this racetrack and still keep it within the time so that he crosses that line, and then he can go for one final lap.
So Viking approaching sector 1. Is he positive? He is not positive. So lots to do out here. Simps starts a lap. We've got JR behind him. All the bottom drivers going for extra laps. All the top drivers feeling fairly comfortable. Phantom will take to the track. In fact, I think he's actually running. Yeah, he is. So he's about to finish sector 1. Just for a change, goes over a 90-degree right-hand corner, approaches the sector 1, 002 as he gets a purple first sector, and I'm interested to see what JR can do, because currently he's the guy in the drop zone. He's gone out on soft tyres, Tim. It's not working, his plan to qualify on mediums so far.
And unfortunately for Diego Maestro, he has crashed out of the session just out of the third sector, so it will not be an improvement for him, as his teammate of Phantom still out there in 131.234.
I see no improvement coming for the Haas drivers either, who have both invalidated this lap. They were line astern on track, perhaps hoping to gain from a tow. Phantom goes purple in sector 2 and could see a new quick time here. It will obviously be good for Pride if he can get himself nearer to Matrav at the top, especially on the different tyres. But currently Phantom will start this race on the soft tyres, crosses the line, new pole position, well, fastest time, I've done it again, 30.704 for Phantom, does finally rival Matrav's time. Purple fastest time overall, and a 130.704 for Phantom. So keeping Matrav honest at least, but we'll see quite how much time Matrav has to gain going on soft tyres in the next session as Q2 comes to a close. I know that the drivers below JR will all be done with their laps, as JR I think has exited his vehicle and will not take any further part. Simps is continuing on, but everyone else has hit the checker flag, Tim.
Wait out the clock.
Yeah, quite why the game decides we need to see this, I'm not entirely sure, but we take a breath. JR, Simps, Viking, Matty and Xander, what can they do apart from just stick medium or hard tyres on here, Tim?
I mean, they're obviously not in the ideal position. I mean, that is a given, but truthfully, like you said, I just think put medium tires on and hope for the best. Not sure if the hard tires are really going to work around here. It really just seems to depend on the setup. But your official results for the Q2 is Phantom in first with Matrav in second, Quentin in third, fourth is Duckster, fifth is Ami Alonso, Zardi in sixth, then Don Rapico in seventh, Top Dog in eighth, ninth is Not Shumi. Those drivers will advance to Q3. And then 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th of Diego Maestro, JR Design, Simps, Royal Viking, and Matty, as well as Sander in 15th, will not advance.
This game continues to surprise me. I don't think I've ever seen 10th place eliminated from Q2. So that's confusing me. We eliminate 6 drivers from Q2 and just 1 from Q1. Very interesting. One of the things I was going to ask you, Tim, this has been Matrav's strategy. Every race we've seen him blitz Q1, go slow in Q2, and then do a good lap on the mediums to better it and qualify, and then obviously usually get pole. But last session out, it didn't work that way for him, because away from the line he was significantly slower, and as they say here in Russia, the best place to start this race is P3 because of the long drag down to turn 1. It's definitely something I would wonder whether Matrav's been in two minds here, whether to stick with that strategy that plainly didn't work and was his undoing last time out, or just double down on it.
See, and that's the thing. I think with Matrav, he's got enough pace to where he can start on the pole position and not be at such a detrimental advantage. But I understand completely what you're saying is that because of the long straightaways, it's some people view it as one, some people view it as two, but nonetheless, two very long straightaways here at the Sochi circuit to start off the lap. I understand completely what you're saying, that they just get that slipstream, and then they are able to get a run on you into that overtaking zone. So, Matrav, yeah, he's going to have to watch his mirrors, but I think that he is just fast enough to where it won't really be that detrimental to his race. Of course, I say that. I have been wrong before. Don't take my word as gospel. just understand, Matrav is fast.
I think, absolutely. I think, for me, he's trying to get the race advantage on the strategy, but in so doing, I think he's somewhat ignoring the fact that his pace, his underlying pace, is able to win regardless of not being on softs at the start. And I think, and especially in a track like this, following the similar events of last race, whether he might be in a better position to just stick with the strategy everyone else is on, be on the same launch capability on the tyres, and just trust in his own underlying pace to take the win, rather than, you know, basically trying to engineer himself a strategic advantage over everybody. Of course, time will tell. I'm sure that things will go swimmingly for him. But of course, another incident like we saw in Jeddah, it could be something that he starts to revisit, especially as you round the very business end of the championship, and all you need is a positive result. The last thing you want to do, Tim, here is just get in a similar accident that he had in Jeddah and end up jeopardizing the championship.
And we're talking about Matrav almost as if he has the championship wrapped up in the bag. And sure, he can certainly win the championship today. It is his to lose. But as you rightly pointed out, anything can happen that can put that championship in jeopardy. And we have seen crazier things happen before in real life. And I'm pretty much of the opinion that in racing, if it can happen, it will happen. It doesn't matter how unlikely it is. As long as it is literally, physically possible in the universe we live in, then it will eventually happen. So
yeah,
you hit the nail right on the head. Matrav needs to be very careful, very cautious. He can be fast, but he has to be cautious in order to make sure that he does not jeopardize that championship.
Well, getting turn 4 a little bit wrong there, we saw him sliding the car in and having to hesitate on the throttle out. I don't think this will be his most amazing lap speed possible, but he's keeping the lap alive and trying to make this one count as a banker lap. Definitely got the exit of turn 4 incorrect and not quite his normal standard. It feels like he's driving the car with a lot of oversteer in the first half of the lap, and he will get down into the edge. I remember, to your point, I remember Jackie Stewart once saying that Formula One is the art of winning a race at the slowest possible speed, and I feel like maybe that's a possible area of improvement for Matrav, or area of reflection at least, following the last race. Perhaps it's about just doing the fundamentals rather than trying to get every single advantage possible. A 30.471 is the fastest time we've seen tonight, though. Just underlining how quick Matrav actually is, and he's got youth on his side as well. Depressingly, he's depressingly young from a perspective of someone who is way past the sell-by date of any kind of racing driver. Jaime Alonso, Phantom and Zardi, your timed laps as not Schumi and Duxter stay valid on this particular attempt.
Taking a look at not Schumi now in that Aston Martin, and so far he is keeping that wheel very nice and straight, very steady, but we're entering that very awkward braking zone. Let's see how he takes the corner. A little bit of sausage curb use, doesn't scrub off a lot of speed. So far, so good for not Schumi. Looks like he was purple in the second sector. Let's see what he's able to do through the off-camber corner. Get that sausage curb a little bit, but actually helped rotate the car, it looked like. Not sure if that was intentional or not, but if we ask him, he might go ahead and say it was. 2 more corners to go. Now 1 more corner to go. The Aston Martin will cross the line here in just a moment, and he will go to second in 131.236.
Very impressive time out there from not Schumi. Sibs stops by in the live chat to say that the master plan for Haas was to eliminate themselves on purpose. So they're obviously challenging themselves to do to bring themselves towards the front of the grid. Of course, they will increase their odds of colliding with each other in the race, having to start near the back of the grid and move forward, but should be exciting to see nonetheless, especially given JR's introduction to the league and his strong results so far.
So taking a look at Top Dog now, he is in the third and final sector, will be starting his lap here very shortly. Of course, Top Dog, Quentin Duckster, and Don Rabico, those 4 drivers still have yet to set a time in the Q3 session that we're in now. Just over 6 minutes remaining, though, so they do have plenty of time. But it looks like Top Dog, he was slowing down there for just a moment. Not sure what was going on there, but looking like he is A-OK now, and he just has to get around this final corner, and now his lap has begun.
So here we go. Then a hot lap on board the AlphaTauri car. JR says he's just not aggressive enough, and it's difficult for him to get into quali mode on the tyres. I think some tyre heat up or temperature issue. Of course, that pays dividends in reverse in the race, but in terms of qualifying, not quite going to plan. Top Dog through sector 1 now. 33.239. That's pretty quick for a first lap out there. Should be time for 2 laps, 2 hot lap attempts for most of the drivers, Tim, today.
So just watching Top Dog here, watching how he's really abusing these curves, and there was a driver letting him by, so good sportsmanship there. But I love to watch the different driving lines, especially around Sochi. As I was mentioning, the very prolonged turn 4. He did not use as much curve as, say someone like Phantom would, but he used way more than a driver, I believe it was Don Rabico we were watching in Q2, who didn't quite use enough curve. Don't quote me on that, don't remember the names, but through the off-camber corner, and it was very steady for Top Dog through the AlphaTauri, but I don't believe that he just went purple through any sector, so I'm not sure how he's going to wind up on this lap. Just one more corner to go in the number 2 AlphaTauri, and as he crosses the line, he will go to second.
Wow!
A 131.080.
Brilliant time from Top Dog into the zeros in the 131. We've got Quentin on a lap as well. He's decided to go out there before the track reaches his optimum, but while the traffic is fairly low. So first sector dealt with smoothly enough. We still wait for the highest runners to decide to come out for their final attempt. Of course, Matrav still with the pole, 30.471, some 0.6 of a second away from second place at the moment. Quentin gets a purple middle sector, which should certainly help him register a time at least. 3 minutes 50 on the clock. A little hesitant to feel mid-corner, perhaps slight overspeed, 30.870, much more like it from Quentin up to P2, and he was certainly messaging me earlier saying he's hoping for a much better race tonight. But definitely tracks what you were saying about Don Rabico. I do find him to be a very gentle driver on the car. High tyre conservation skills, but perhaps just lacking that aggressive tyre treatment, as JR was mentioning, that perhaps gets you the extra couple of tenths there, Tim, in qualifying trim.
Just taking a look at Duckster now. He's on the flying lap. Oh my goodness, and he almost loses it. Somehow is able to hang on to it, and he goes to third, a 131.058. Would it have been pole if he had lost it?
Wow.
My goodness, look out for Duckster today.
He'll call that the one that got away, I'm sure. But yeah, it'd be good to see from his point of view replay if he saves that particular moment. Don Rabico for the line then, 31.258, good enough for P6 with 2 minutes 34 on the clock. Who else have we got out? Is Zardi on a lap? Zardi's on the early stages of a lap. Matrav has started his out lap. We know Top Dog's done his time. So Imi, Phantom and Zardi currently on laps at the moment. Just check in with them. Phantom is further behind and Imi is 0.165 up on his previous time. Currently a 1.3 second field spread. First to 9th. Yes, you heard me right. We have 9 cars in Q3.
Don't ask us how.
No.
Don't ask us why. It's just what happened today.
Yeah.
I'm sarcastic today. I'm sorry.
That's no problem. Imi then begging the tyres to grip in. I think they've passed their best as he goes P3. Nice time from Imi Alonso there, 1:30.892, with a lot less to do in the race today than he had to do in the race last week. Zardi is nearly 5/10 faster though as well here, Tim. Should be getting himself pretty high up the order. Will he get close enough to his teammate to start alongside? I think that might be slightly out of reach. And it's P6 for Zardi. Phantom finishing his lap. Let's track with him as he gets a purple middle sector and is in the very difficult sector of the racetrack.
So a decent lap from Zardi there, and Madtrav, he has just now started his flying lap as well, so we'll see what Madtrav is able to do as he goes through turn 1 and approaching turn 2 down this very long straightaway underneath the Pirelli banner. Currently his best time is a 1:30.471. Phantom just goes to second at 1:30.799. Quentin in third at 1:30.870. Look at Madtrav, how much curb he's using there through that turn 4, really bobbing that wheel too. He was not holding it, like completely still like you would expect him to either. It was just a constant correction, but tiny little corrections, and really that's how you can get fast in these cars, is tiny little corrections on that wheel without moving it and chopping it too much.
This is looking strong here, Tim. He's using the curbs almost as a guide for where the center line of the car needs to be, not really caring about keeping 2 wheels on the track at all times, 4 wheels on the track at all times, I should say. Absolutely extending the track in every possible sector here as he goes towards. It's now a 1/4 of a second faster than he's been before, and he enters sector 3 with a purple sector behind him. I think this one's going to be pretty special. Wow!
Oh, he slides and still hangs on to it. Using the sausage curve, Madtrav through the tilt corner, and now just 2 more corners to go. And Madtrav, that was a little bit of a Code Brown moment, but through the final corner, he'll cross the line, and he still slides it and still goes the fastest lap, a 1:30.356. If he hadn't had those moments, we would have been looking at a 1:29.
My word, he slides 2 corners and still betters his best. Madtrav is an absolute enigma. I simply can't believe what I've just seen. To hold that slide round turn 15, make another one as he fully sends the car into the final corner, and still beats his lap time by 1/10 of a second. It's Madtrav, Phantom, Quentin, Imi Alonso and Top Dog, followed by Duxter, Zardi, Dom Rabico and Not Shumi, with a what are we looking at, a 0.9 second gap between first and 9th. Neil stops by to say qualifying is close. Absolutely. I would have loved to see what you could have done here tonight, Neil. Strong race last time out. But I'll leave you in Tim's hands for just a moment while I take a quick break.
Not Shumi does go to 3rd, and with that, it's looking like it is all over and done with for the qualifying. So Madtrav, Phantom, and Not Shumi, your top 3, with Quentin and Imi Alonso, your top 5. Will get you the official starting order, at least for the top 9, here in just a moment. But looking like a very interesting race around the Sochi circuit today, as the top 9 starting positions are Madtrav in 1st, Phantom in 2nd, Not Shumi in 3rd, Quentin in 4th, Imi Alonso in 5th, Top Dog in 6th, Duxter in 7th, 8th is Zardi, and then 9th is Don Rabico. Don't remember who was 10th, because for some reason we got 9 drivers instead of 10 in Q3. But that was not our decision. That was the decision of the AI algorithm. So, of course, you know how AI works. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but it's not always ideal. Now just waiting out that clock, and then slowly but surely we will be able to get ready for the Russian Grand Prix. And remember, for those of you who are just joining Madtrav, he does have a moment, a chance, an opportunity, maybe just a tiny glimmer of hope to clinch the championship here today. All he needs to do is finish the race, and Phantom needs to not score any points whatsoever, and Madtrav will officially have an insurmountable gap and will retain his points lead for the remainder of the season, thus winning him the championship. But if Matrav has a DNF like he unfortunately did last week around the streets of Saudi Arabia, and Phantom is somehow able to win the race today, finish in second, get a fantastic result, then Phantom can at least continue fighting for the season.
Thanks for that, Tim. The drivers just preparing their minds, really. There's not a lot they can do. Maybe tweak a little bit of front wing and run through the opening lap in their heads at least. Start visualizing that first lap as we see the countdown timer has begun for our formation lap. Let's have your predictions in the chat. Do you think Matrav will take this one? Who will be his strongest competition? How many safety cars will we see out there tonight in this street circuit-like track where the walls are ever close and ever dangerous? But looking forward to this one. Who will be the Valtteri Bottas of Sochi tonight at SAF1 Esports, which is brought to you by Quintessential Photo and Video Works, by Rabico Holdings and DR Developments. And we say a big thank you to our sponsors, without whom we would not go racing. And we're getting ready here, Tim, for the start of our race. Looks like we've got spread of tyres as usual in the bottom of the order. Medium tyres for both Haas cars, so they are stuck on the same strategy, which is somewhat of a surprise. Split strategies for the rest of the drivers, with Matty and Zander on mediums, everybody else on softs.
Every time you talk about Valtteri Bottas, by the way, around the circuit, and I see that VTB logo, I just, for some reason, always keep thinking about Valtteri Bottas, and I have to remind myself it's not a Bottas tribute, it's just a company that happens to have the same letters that make up his name.
Definitely, I think he should get sponsored by them because it does seem to work that way.
Unfortunately, I don't think it'd do him any good in the Alfa Romeo unless they've nailed the regulations this year.
Yeah, that's true. It'd be great to see him how he does in a midfield car though as well. I think that should be pretty interesting. And alongside Guan Yu Zhou as well, guy with the longest junior racing program, I think, of anybody entering the sport recently, and yet to secure a junior title, but he's certainly been exciting nonetheless. Neil's excited for tonight, says let's go. So good to see him tuning in. Dom Rabico was petitioning Quentin to add Neil to the McLaren team roster instead of reserve team roster, as Vino joins us for the race, and will start at the back. So looks like he's timed his entry correctly. Hamrick saved the ignominy of starting at the back, and we just hope for more than half a lap of racing from some severe tyre warming going on in the tilt section, which almost went wrong for Top Dog out there. It's so difficult to firstly get the tyres into the right window, and secondly not disqualify yourself from this session. Really difficult out there.
So my predictions for the podium, by the way, Webbo, I'm going to go with, in any order, Matrav, Schumi, and Duxter. Okay,
nice. I think JR's going to get up into third place, and Quentin's going to get on the podium today. So that's how I'm going to call it. I think we both agree. Probably Matrav at the top step. The cars are in the position. It's time to go racing, and we are watched over by VTB, not Valtteri Bottas. We have 4 lights, 5 lights, and it's away we go with Matrav away fairly comfortably. It looks like a good run from Notsumi in that precious third place, with a slipstream coming up the outside, squeeze to the outside. Massive contact! Massive contact at the back. Hamrick, severe collision. Is Hamrick out? 4 cars out of this race as an immediate safety car is called. But man alive, I haven't seen a league start that bad in some time. Tim, what did you see back there?
I was on board with Diego Maestro in the Alfa Romeo. Not sure exactly which driver it was, but an Alfa Romeo was slow just ahead of him. Diego Maestro tried to avoid him, but unfortunately got into the back of him, and I believe that there was some other contact that Diego Maestro kind of ran into as well. So it was pretty much just maybe 2 or 3 different chain reactions that came together to cause these 4 drivers to be out.
Incredible. I
and
saw
Sander has actually spun on track now as well, and he has completely lost his front wing in that Mercedes. So far, he has been able to continue, but I think that the problem with him is that his tires are cooked, and he's having an issue just to keep it on track.
Rear left puncture can be confirmed, as well as a missing front wing. A long way to get around this track. I think he's going to have to quit this, Tim. This is the situation that that Matra found himself in last race. It is almost impossible to drive with a rear wheel puncture and no front wing whatsoever. The front wing, less of an issue because you can just go slower, but as soon as the car starts to get lost on traction, you are a passenger when it comes to that rear puncture. The car leans on the back of the car so much, they just won't work, and very difficult for Zander. He is gamely trying though, and absolute hats off to him for what he's doing. But I think I saw 2 or 3 cars disappear into the pit lane exit in amongst that huge crash, and I'd love to be able to see it again from on board somebody. I'm sure that it's going to be reported, and if I can see any report videos from POVs, I'll try and drop it into the comments of the race itself, or the description post race. But look at Zander, Tim. This is really difficult work here.
And I'm just watching, and he's really at risk of getting lapped here in just a moment. And I'd say that unless and he spins around again, if he can somehow keep it on track from here on out, maybe he can stay just ahead of everybody. But I'd say that even if he is able to get it back to the pits, that he is going to be a lap down.
It's every single time he applies right-hand steering, it is the car completely lost on him. It's a tremendously difficult thing to do. Of course, he knows that if he can get round to the pits, he will get all his track position back. We have 4 or 5 cars who've made pit stops, I believe, already in the order. We look at, 8th downwards have all been in the pits as Zander goes wrong again. He's just got one little sector to go, low speed sector, but with lots of 90-degree turns. Everything still to do. 6 places up for Hamrick, and frankly, the one big success out of that start there, Tim, was Hamrick having managed to put. Oh no!
Sander does not make it to the pits, and you know that hurts. I was really pulling for him. I was just about to say that I never read the book The Little Engine That Could, but I honestly feel like Sander is putting him to shame, and he did a fantastic job. I got to give him that. Definitely,
that is heartbreaking. He was 2 corners from the pit entry, and the pit entry has a corner in its own, so there were still 3 potential moments out, but he lost the front wheel, unfortunately, just getting the car through turn 14. And what a shame to see Zander out. Will not contribute any points to the Mercedes team haul, which has almost exclusively been the purview of Matrav. It looks like Phantom has got ahead of Matrav as they barreled down into turn 1. My focus was on that 3rd place Natsumi, but Phantom managing to get ahead of Matrav. Phantom on soft tyres, remember, having gained that 1 position from the start. Hamrick with all the positions gained. JR is in the pits for, I believe, the 2nd time, has gone for a single run round on the softs, so has swapped them out, and I think he's going to try and run hards to the end here. No, he puts old mediums on? He's put an old set of mediums on, according to the game at least.
Meanwhile, I am taking a look at Duxter and Hamrick. Both of those drivers do have the hard tires on, but you are correct that it looks like JR Desarens has all mediums on in the pits there. But this is, I don't know. I think that everyone's really been caught off guard by the early safety car, that they're currently just trying to scramble, trying to decide what they're supposed to do. Because, you know, they had a set plan that they were going to go for, assuming that it stayed green the whole way. But now that a safety car has came out on literally the first lap, within the first corner, they have to, you know, alter their strategy a little bit.
Yeah, this is a very big reset button has been pressed on everybody's strategy. I'm really confused by JR. I thought he was going in, going to run soft tyres for one lap, then run hards to the end and not have to pit again. Whether that was the intention and he accidentally selected the wrong tyres in the pit lane, I'm struggling. I'm really struggling to understand that one. Heard from Royal Viking, who said he's speechless. I've just asked him to elaborate, which is perhaps not really. I could be guilty of not listening when someone says they're speechless, but I'd love to get his take on what happened in the first few meters of the racetrack. Safety car will come in this lap, Tim, so we're going to get back underway racing, and I'll try and watch from near the front and see that third or fourth position, but we'll see if the rearmost drivers can make it through a little bit safer than before.
Phantom, Matrav, Not Shumi, your top 3, with Quentin and Amy Alonso, your top 5, Top Dog, Don Rapco, Duckster, Hamrick, and Zardy, your top 10, and then JR Designs and Sims, the only other drivers left on the circuit. Phantom will be the control car. He gets to decide when the field goes, as long as it is before the start-finish line. And look at it, that everyone is ready to go except for Phantom.
Yeah, Phantom, I think, is going now. He hasn't got a huge gap on Matrav. We go green flag racing, and Phantom starting to weave already. Rizardi retires from the session. He'd already gone. So we have 11 cars remaining with Simps and JR, the Haas teammates, at the back of the grid order. They go 1, 2, 3. Phantom, Matrav, Shumi, followed by Quentin and Amy Alonso. Top Dog, perhaps, though, challenging on the outside, gives up a warning through that tricky turn 2. And I think Dom Ravico with designs on following him through. Amy Alonso wants to retaliate and come down the inside. He can't quite get there. So it's Phantom, Matrav, Not Shumi, Quentin and Top Dog. Amy Alonso, Dom Ravico, who has picked up a warning already. We did see several 5-second penalties given out for that start issues. A collection of start issues we saw, and perhaps that fed into JR's decision, was to go and shed those penalties he'd already picked up. Royal Viking just updates us to say he was a passenger. He said he kept his side clean, but people just came over into him. I'm not entirely sure which driver came into him, but yeah, big drama for Royal Viking after a strong qualifying performance. So Top Dog still defending here from Amy Alonso. Amy Alonso not happy to have lost that position, and these guys all still to pit off that first stint.
So it looks like it is a clean opening lap after our first safety car anyway, and Phantom will lead this lap. Matrav very close behind them on those medium tires. And now it's about the time where you're seeing Matrav struggle because, as we mentioned, those medium tires, obviously they're going to be a little bit slower because they are a slightly harder compound than the softs, not giving you as much grip. But after a few laps, those medium tires really start to come in. They get to their optimal tire temperature, and then you can really have a lot of grip around this circuit, and that's about the time that the soft tires start to fall off. So it's going to balance out for Matrav, but at the moment he will struggle for a little bit. But just as I say that, we do see him gaining ever so slightly on that Ferrari.
Yeah, down at the tail of the field, Hamrick is going slowly on the hard tyres, trying to get them up to temperature. JR put a great move on him on the inside of the long left turn 3 as JR's teammate Simps gets by as well. So that's job 1 complete for both the Haas teammates, and they are on the hunt back to try and redeem their race from a very problematic start. I can see Amy Alonso still on the back of Top Dog. DRS has not been enabled yet, but he's going to try and do this on slipstream alone, and he manages to breeze by Top Dog on the back straight that's not really a straight. Managed to do it before DRS was enabled. So strong overtake from Amy with obviously good traction at the moment on equal tyres. Obviously nailed that one very nicely.
So now I'm watching Matrav as he is getting so much closer to Phantom and goes a little bit wide. That might have been a warning, but DRS is enabled now, and that is exactly what Matrav has been wanting and waiting for. He has that DRS active now, and Phantom, he's going to be a little bit of a sitting duck here, but it looks like Matrav was not quite able to make that move. Phantom was able to just stay ahead of him, but I say that that is not going to be the case here very soon.
Yeah, it's a matter of time, you feel, for Matrav, although he doesn't need to be in a hurry and certainly doesn't need to be making low percentage moves here, Tim. He's in a good position. He just needs to finish the race to secure the title. It's about reining in your ambition, I think. I'm sure he wants to win and he wants to lead every lap, but just a measured approach needed here. Phantom could do well just to goad him into a low percentage move. These are the only two people left in the title fight. Phantom clinging on to his chances. But here he comes then, Matrav up the inside into turn 12 before they hit the braking zone for turn 13, retakes the lead. Nice safe move there from Matrav. And got the job done. Let's see what JR is doing. He's got by Dom Rabico, who's had a rough lap. Dom Rabico losing 2 places both to Duckster and JR. I didn't see that one coming. I was thinking JR would be the next one to challenge for a move on Duckster, who Tim has picked for a strong result, and I can definitely see that, especially the pace he's got on hard tyres right now. It's going very well indeed. Right at the front though, it's not Shumi chasing Phantom, chasing Matrav, and Phantom getting closer and closer. Matrav gives him the inside, knowing that he's just that little bit too far back. Top Dog gets back past Jaime Alonso into that turn 1, and then it's as you were the rest of the field, as Dom Rabico is going backwards on, I think, shredded softs here. Oh, Hamrick out of the session as we watch Duckster just hold on to the car through turn 3. I'm sorry to say we will not see any further driver from Hamrick, who got 6 laps further into this race than the previous Grand Prix, but has had very little seat time, Tim, of late.
And it's just unfortunate for Hamrick, and he was so close to the points there too. If maybe he had been able to hang on until the final lap, he could have found himself in a points paying position, but unfortunately P11 is all that he can do today with DNF, as we watch Duckster still have a huge battle between himself and JR Designs. Just ahead of him is Jaime Alonso and Top Dog trading places, as Top Dog loses the 5th position to Jaime Alonso. So the Alfa Romeo going back around goes a little bit wide in turn 13, but is able to hang on to it. Top Dog slipping and sliding a slight bit back there, so it's kind of pretty much evening out, as Duckster now has a Haas right up on his gearbox, and that Haas has got a McLaren on his gearbox and another Haas on his gearbox.
Around goes the Haas.
Haas is actually spun around.
That's right, yeah. Simps at the back of the field now, spinning. But these midfield boys are up for it tonight, Tim. They are all over the racetrack, and they are greedy and hungry for a good result. This is some really exciting stuff going on in the midfield. Even if Matrav is drifting away from the group, Top Dog and Jaime Alonso, guess what? They swap places again. And Duckster still holds off JR, and given JR's underlying pace, this is going incredibly well for Duckster in the Alpine on the hard tyres. Positions the car nicely on the outside of turn 3, which becomes the inside of turn 4, just effectively putting a nice block on any further move from JR. But it's all about defence, as now Duckster overshoots turn 6 and will still be staring in those mirrors.
Well, he actually had a little bit of help from JR. JR got into the back of him, and again. And he does it again, gets into the back of him just a little bit. JR Design's not able to get the car slowed down quite as quickly as Duckster is, or maybe Duckster's just backing up the corner a little bit more. But so far, so good. No wing damage on the Haas car, and Duckster has been able to keep it on track for the most part. But now JR Design's going around the outside. They're going to swap places, and it's going to be JR Designs who officially gets the 7th position from Duckster. But how long will that last? Let's wait and see. Duckster going the wrong way at the moment.
We had synchronized overtakes going on as Jaime Alonso got past Top Dog and JR got past Duckster. Almost exactly identical maneuvers, just a few yards or meters up ahead on that back straight. So lap 9 begins with Matrav in the lead by almost a second from from Phantom and Not Shumi. Quentin has dropped back now 2.6 seconds, driving somewhat of a lonely race with then a gap for that magical midfield of 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th, which is Jaime Alonso, Top Dog. who will be presumably interchangeable drivers all the way through this one. Now JR trying to get in the Top Dog Jaime Alonso fight, trying to go around the outside of turn 3, hangs on to the car, just about gets the car stopped before Top Dog swipes across his front wing. And now it's a three-way battle here for P5, Tim.
And looks like something has happened to Simpson. He is now out of the session, so now we have only 9 drivers remaining in this race. And it is Top Dog in 6th place, who is still battling with Jaime Alonso for 5th, and JR Designs just behind him. So the lone Haas out there in the 7th position, in a points-paying position, pretty much guaranteed to walk away with points today. And he tries to go around anyway, around Top Dog, but this time Top Dog, he has got the DRS off of Jaime Alonso, so he will be able to stay ahead of that Haas car, at least for this time, as they approach turn 13. Not close enough to make a move on Jaime Alonso, but now we are in a DRS strain.
Absolutely. Yeah, unfortunately, Sim seemed to be off track on the exit of turn 3. So we are at 1/3 distance, Tim, and we've lost half of our drivers. Into the pits comes Top Dog on 8-lap-old soft tyres. So perhaps explaining quite why he was struggling to keep JR behind him for that previous lap 9, as now JR turns his attack towards the back of Jaime Alonso, who is weaving to an alarming degree. I believe you're allowed to make one move, and that was 3 or 4 down the start-finish straight. So excessive weaving will be frowned upon by the stewards, Tim.
See, and that's honestly a rule that I have never been able to get clarified for me. They say that you're not supposed to move under braking, but it happens pretty much all the time. So it's really, I think, one of those rules that only, and I'm not talking about in this league, I'm just talking about in general.
Yeah.
That I think that it's one of those rules that is really only used when something bad happens.
Right. I think I really like the IndyCar rule, which says that you can make any moves you like as long as you preempt the attack, if the defense over the attack. If you try to block once an attacker has already moved outside and has made their move, that's known as a block and is not allowed. So I do appreciate that, as now JR gets by Jaime Alonso, and the race really coming to JR here. He doesn't have to make a pit stop anytime soon. He's on those medium tyres that have done 2 laps at the start, a brief cool down period in the race, and back on again, somewhat confusingly, unless he thinks he can run the whole race on that scrub set of mediums. He's now up to P4. Quentin and not Shumi in the pit, so JR will get by both of them. And I did predict him for the podium, and he's up there, at least before the pit stops, but he's on the same strategy effectively as Matrav, up in front, 8.6 seconds up ahead in the lead.
Of course, those reverse strategies, they are usually my favorite strategies to go for.
Right.
So JR Designs looking like he is going to be okay for now, but now that pit stops are starting, it's going to be very interesting to see once the top 3 pit, where they're going to end up. Of course, Matrav, I think we pretty much know where he is going to end up, somewhere around the first position.
Yeah, approximately first, yeah.
And everyone else, though, it's pretty much a waiting game to find out.
Definitely. Well, Jaime Alonso and Top Dog come out of the pits line astern, and they will get to resume their battle now for 7th, as Dom Rabico is in the pits as well. So everybody on fresh tyres apart from the top 3. Duckster, I don't believe, has to stop again. I do believe Matrav and JR will struggle to see out the entirety of this race, and certainly Matrav will not be allowed to. But I expect that they'll be waiting for another safety car. Of course, we've got only half the drivers left, so only half the likelihood of a further safety car. Simps updates us in the driver chat, says that was the most unpredictable car to drive ever. Never knew whether it was going to understeer or oversteer. Worst race car I've ever driven. It was underbody damage he suffered, so just couldn't predict what the car was going to do.
Jaime Alonso, he's got a move sized up on Top Dog, not able to make that move this time, though. Just noticing, though, the time penalties that I need to take a look at, in 3 seconds for Jaime Alonso, so that is exceeding track limits 3 times. That is the 3-second time limit that they have given to Jaime Alonso at the moment. No one else with any time penalties on the board, but Phantom, a 134.096 on the board, the fastest lap of the session so far.
Yeah, take a look at position change, though, having made 2 pit stops. JR up 9 from his starting position. We know it was a bit of a nightmare for the Haas team that first session. The rest of the field have somewhat spread out, but Top Dog and Jaime Alonso are going to give us some entertainment as Jaime goes for it. Top Dog is not afraid to close the door, is he, Tim?
No, not really. And, honestly, maybe the AlphaTauri could give him a little bit more room there. But honestly, part of that was also just a racing incident. Well,
the thing is, Jaime Alonso will definitely not be able to claim he doesn't know what Top Dog's going to do. So a half-hearted speculative move like that isn't going to wash with Top Dog. He is going to wreck or he's just going to take his racing line, whatever happens, it looks like. So Jaime's going to have to do this on DRS and get significantly alongside, sending one into turn one from too far back. I don't think that one is going to fly with Top Dog tonight. And we're approaching half distance, waiting for the first pit stop from your race leader, who over Duckster has about a 12-second lead, 12.5-second lead. Duckster on a good strategy here, 10 laps. He's got a 10-second gap to Phantom, who will start to catch him, and then of course the tyre delta will start to tail off between Phantom and Duckster. So Duckster just needs to keep consistent laps going. We know he's got good speed tonight, Tim, and you've picked him for the podium.
And so far, it's looking like maybe that could be in the cards. Of course, it's lap 13 of 27, approximately halfway through. And Top Dog and Jaime Alonso still trading position, so we'll go ahead and take a look at them again. And Top Dog trailing the Alfa Romeo now, as he has finally been able to get around him. But how long will that last before Top Dog sees another opportunity and seizes the day to get back around Jaime Alonso? Jaime Alonso, though, a little bit of a wiggle off the corner maybe, or he was trying to break the slipstream off of Top Dog. Not sure exactly what's going on there, but he likes to dive down to the inside. Of course, for that time, it was just a simple line of the corner. And Jaime Alonso is starting to pull away now, actually, from the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, I think Top Dog is biding his time here. Jaime is down around 13-12% ERS. Top Dog has a lot more. I could see him derating as both cars went past the trackside camera. So Top Dog, I think, just being patient, doesn't want to fight too hard and ruin these tyres. So if it means going offline, it needs to be a convincing move, or he's just going to wait for a suitable DRS zone to do this without scrubbing those tyres. I think he knows it's going to be a bit of a challenge to get these medium tyres right to the end of this race.
And really, this is the only battle that we have going on here at the moment between these two drivers. And, it's really kind of at the back of the field, but not really, because it is that midfield. It's just that we've had so many DNFs so far in what has only been halfway through this race now. But Top Dog, he's got the DRS again, and he's looking for the move, but thinks better of it. Has to follow Jaime Alonso through the corner. So he's going to have to wait for another overtaking opportunity, and that is going to be so frustrating for Top Dog and an AlphaTauri right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's plenty of time, as long as they're not slowing each other down too much. I think there's plenty of time to make a race of this one and get a good result out of it. Of course, they'll be cognizant of the fact that a lot of drivers have gone out, so it's high points on offer tonight. Of course, anybody can go for fastest lap at the end of this race. That will be interesting to see. We're halfway through the race though, and Madtrav leads by 8.6 seconds from JR. Duckster a further almost 6 seconds back. Then Phantom, who's dropped the gap somehow. I think that's a mistake from Duckster, because Phantom has dropped the gap down to 7.4. The last time I looked, it was 10.2. And then Not Shumi in 5th, Quentin in 6th, hoping for a good result tonight. But again, finding himself pretty much alone on track. Jaime Alonso is definitely not alone on track, being hunted by Top Dog and Dom Rabico, the tail of the field, with issues so far on this race, further 9 seconds back in 9th place.
I just keep watching Duckster though in the 3rd position there on those hard tires, and I kind of wonder, how long are they going to last? I think that they should theoretically be able to last to the end, but how fast are they really going to be once we get to these closing laps? Is he going to have to make another pit stop or not?
he's certainly not quick enough to make this strategy work to get him to the podium at this stage against Phantom. Of course, we have to wait and see about anyone getting penalties in the second half of the race to complicate the matter. But yeah, keeping an eye on that gap between Phantom and Duxter is dropping at a relatively alarming rate and far too fast for Duxter's comfort. So it's less about whether maybe the hards will make it to the end, more about will they allow him to get a good result, which of course I'm sure he'll jump at any opportunity to put a new set of tyres on if he can get a cheap pit stop. But at the moment, a pit stop will drop him down to probably 8th position.
Meanwhile, I'm still watching Jaime Alonso against Top Dog. Again, the only battle on the racetrack at the moment, but it's fairly entertaining. You know, you can see Top Dog, he gets the DRS and he's able to gain on him a little bit, but not always able to go for that lunge on the inside of the corners, and a little bit of slide through the tilt corner there. Top Dog actually overdrove it, while Jaime Alonso pretty much had it locked to the apex, so that really helped the exit for that Alfa Romeo. And you see the distance between the two there now, 0.7 of a second separating these two cars, but Top Dog should be getting the DRS down this long straightaway. That will help close that gap.
Yeah, affirm that, although of course his opportunity to make an overtake attempt drastically reduced by getting that final sector wrong. Neil calls out JR's pace as being very strong, and I would agree, although he's clearly had an issue just now. And Duxter gets up to 2nd place. I think we were just calling out JR in unison with Neil there, and I think he's had a major issue, major off, because down he goes to P3, and I hope that means no damage to the vehicle. But Duxter promoted to P2 and has crucially now a car between himself and the chasing Phantom. JR losing ground there, Tim.
But this is going to be a very interesting battle between Duxter and JR Designs, because now that Haas is going to be hungry and he's going to be fighting back, and it is medium tires versus hard tires. The medium tires, they're probably going to start losing some of their life now, while the hard tires, maybe, just maybe, they're starting to come in. Maybe Duxter has worked them up to the temperature that they need to be at, and he is struggling a little bit. He is a bit slow, but it looks as though he might just be able to keep that Haas behind him. Yeah,
the tire deck should be relatively similar. The percentage wear won't be, the actual grip, inherent grip in both tires will be somewhat similar at this stage. So I think pace wise they should be okay, but JR just obviously, I think he's certainly going to struggle to get this car to the end. Matrav has yet to pit in this race, lap 17 on his medium tires from the start. JR is wearing the same tyres he started the race on, but he has pitted twice and done a single lap on softs under safety car. That much has worked. Obviously something going wrong. I wondered if it was a portent of the fact that his tyres were nearing the end of their life, but obviously Matrav making the mediums last that little bit longer than JR, so it's not really working out quite well at the moment on JR's car. Of course, the field is spreading out, Tim, and the longer he can go, the better for a quick sprint at the end of this racetrack if he does need to put on softs.
And if he were able to pit even right now, he should be okay on the soft tires. We saw them earlier on in the race lasting 8 laps with a little bit of less fuel in the cars. They should theoretically be able to extend their life a slight bit, maybe get them to 10 laps. But you're right, Webbo, that Duxter, he can go on the soft tires here soon, and I don't know, maybe he should, maybe not. It really all depends on what those hard tires are looking like, and really only he knows what they look like at this moment in time. But I'd say that he's not really worried about that, and he's more so worried about that white car just behind him, who is slowly gaining on him. And just as this battle is happening, Matrav has went into the pits, and Top Dog is slowly gaining on Jaime Alonso, but meanwhile that battle has pretty much stayed the same since the last time we looked at it.
Here comes JR then for what is now the lead of the race, and takes Duxter around the outside as they approach turn 1. So job done for JR. He's at the top of the field now. Duxter is 4/10 back, and as you say, Matrav pits, gets down to P5, and will have to pass these drivers on track, especially Phantom and Not Shumi, who will certainly try to make the end of this race. The window, though, I think is open for soft tyres, as Matrav proves. He got through to the end of lap 17. With 10 to go, he's going to use those soft tyres in their optimum window. And of course, while the track is at its warmest, it's most rubbered in, while the cars are lowest on fuel. It's a great time to put soft tyres on. It'd be quite the adjustment for Matrav to be making here, and I'd love to see how his lap goes. I'll perhaps ride with him because I'm sure he'll be going for fastest lap here. Goes right round the outside into turn 13, gets the job done. So DRS very much useful on that lap for Matrav. Still sliding the car through turn 15 and 16. It's not all going to plan. The way the wall comes at you on the exit of turn 16 is frightening every time a driver gets really close. And Matrav then, his out lap was registered, and this is now his push lap, I would imagine. This is when everything is at its best. Duckster up ahead, closing in on JR, but Matrav has got 3 cars ahead of him, 3 cars in the way to another victory. And as we've mentioned before, championship is his if he finishes the race today, and Phantom fails to win. So it's certainly looking like it's on its way.
I'm going to have to interrupt you here because there is a very fierce battle brewing between Aimee Alonso and Top Dog.
Nice.
Top Dog got around, or Aimee Alonso got around Top Dog in the DRS zone, but then there's just been constant contact between the two of them entering these corners twice now. I've seen Top Dog get into the back of Aimee Alonso going into the corner somehow, some way that AlphaTauri does not have any wing damage, but the battle is brewing, and quite frankly, they have turned up the heat to maximum. Top Dog is just tired of looking at the back of this Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, I don't blame him, but yeah, they've been locked together in battle virtually the entire race. They only got the respite of a drive down the pit lane, and here we go then, another DRS opportunity for Top Dog. Alonso makes him go the long way round into turn 12, turn 13, and safely by for Top Dog. So they swap positions once again. And they could be on for a record here as JR finally stretches his lead beyond the magical 1 second window. So he will manage to not have to put up with Duckster in his DRS window. Quentin is within DRS of Notsumi in 6th and 5th respectively. And Matrav 1.1 seconds, make that just under a second against Phantom ahead. Aimee Alonso, another DRS pass versus Top Dog, 7th and 8th. They continue. I wonder though, Tim, do you think they are slowing each other down here?
You know, honestly, I'd say that they are. But that's the thing, though. You might understand that you're slowing each other down by racing one another instead of working together, but how do you put aside your competitive feelings long enough to understand that you just have to follow them to stay a little bit faster?
Yeah, if you're not in a voice party with the with the guy in front or behind you, very difficult to coordinate anything. There's no sort of secret driver signal for let's work together here. And you can't exactly stick an arm out the window like you can in saloon car racing. Yeah,
and you know, it's funny that you mentioned that, because actually in the 2011 Daytona 500, for any NASCAR fans out there, the drivers actually did have the ability to communicate with one another, and the drivers had a little switch button on their dashboard to where they could tune into a certain driver that they could talk to. It was limited to like maybe 5, but it was an option very briefly in NASCAR because of two-car tandems.
One of the things I would love to do is to have public team radio going on a broadcast. I'm sure it's possible. I know we can do it, even if it's just one way for engineers, but I'd love to do that. I think I wouldn't want to trust league racers to talk to each other live on a stream. Matrav up to P2 against Duckster and closing in on the lead again.
Very impressive overtakes by Matrav.
Yeah.
Yes, I can attest that it's probably best to not have league racers and sim racers on a chat with one another. I know, me personally, you would hear me cussing and screaming a lot. That's just how it is. The emotions very much are real in sim racing. It may be virtual cars, it may be a virtual racetrack based off of real life locations, but the competition and the people are very much real.
No, it's exactly why I try not to say you know, virtual or real life. This is real life. This is just on a virtual platform. You know, the races are meaningful to everybody taking part. The practice is real. Madtrav gets by, resumes the lead of the race. Lap 21, he takes the lead yet again now on soft tyres. I wonder if, did he steal the fastest lap as well on that previous lap? Yes, he did. 32.936 is the fastest lap out there, and he's only going to go quicker from here on in, I believe. So Madtrav from JR, Phantom and Duckster. Phantom got by Duckster there, Tim. I missed that one.
You know what, Webbo, I think I did too, actually. We've been having such great conversation up here, though. Duckster, you know, really struggling to get that podium that I, you know, so eloquently predicted he would get. Not quite going to happen today. Well, maybe not, though, honestly. But at the moment, I think his best chance is definitely to just stay out there on the hard tires. If he pitted for softs now, I'm not sure if he could really make up the gap. It would be close, but it looks like there's a battle brewing behind him between Natshumi and Quinton. And Natshumi got very, very close to the back of Quinton through that corner, but both drivers A-OK through there. And this is going to be a nice one to make a take the lead, as well as the battle between Phantom and JR Designs at the moment. JR Designs, of course, 1.6 seconds behind Madtrav, so there's no battle for the lead at the moment, but there is a battle for fifth, there is a battle for second, and you know what? Top Dog and I'm Alonso, they're starting to miss each other.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I'm sure Top Dog must have had a problem to end up 5 seconds back from Imi. So, as you say, those are the two battles. JR is going to have a difficult time here as Phantom opens the DRS. JR, I think, is going to try and make the end on these tyres. That's pretty much all he can do now, but Phantom breezes past with a fantastic overspeed and simply done, but he's up into P2 now, and whether he can do anything to chase down Madtrav or not is quite another question, but that looks to be your podium as things stand. I think JR and Duckster will have a similar degree of grip towards the end of the race, but JR is going to be pushing the envelope for tyre life on those mediums.
You know, I actually did just notice that too, so good eye there, Webbo. 21 laps on the medium tires for JR Designs, so maybe Duckster is in line for a podium after all. I know that Duckster, very biased there, he would want that, so Duckster, he would want it. JR Designs, of course, he is biased and not wanting Duckster to get that podium, but you know what, that's part of competition. But it's still going to be very interesting to see if this Haas driver can keep those medium tires lasting to the end, and it's going to be about 5 laps that he's going to have to survive.
Well, the other reason I predict JR to keep this podium and to get it as I did earlier in the race, is I always like talking to him at the end of a race. He's very good value for an interview, and I'd love to quiz him on that decision at the pit stop as well. So I hope so. I'm not seeing rain, am I? Did I see a flash of something on the screen? I'm going on board and I'm not seeing it now, but twice I wondered if there was a small raindrop happening. I don't know if it's just wishful thinking, as Quinton and Shumi still locked in battle. Now JR has closed back towards Phantom as they go towards the next DRS zone at the end of this lap. But no, I think I'm wrong. I'm not seeing any confirmation on raindrops, so obviously just a visual glitch or an eyesight issue. But let's watch with JR, who's 0.8 of a second, 0.9 of a second. I think that's too far back to make a challenge, but Phantom is derating down that start-finish straight. So let's have a quick look at telemetry. JR, very little left, but Phantom almost 0 on the telemetry. Further back, we've got Natshumi closing, but not enough, with 3 complete laps to go now, Tim.
Natshumi just trying everything that he can to get around Quinton. Not sure if he's going to be able to do it. 0.3 of a second. Still, that gap has remained fairly consistent, and that's going to be the most stressful thing for Natshumi, is that he's been able to keep a consistent gap, but he hasn't been able to overcome the gap. And no matter how many times that he activates that DRS, no matter how much ERS he uses, and he has got quite a lot to use, 36%,
right,
compared to a few other drivers who have, you know, maybe 12 or 8 or that I've seen here recently. So Natshumi, he's got the ERS, and I think that what he's doing right now is actually saving it and going to mount a charge at Quinton here at the very end.
Yeah, that should be good to see. Quentin on 27% currently, and not Shumi on, what, 32 and spending. But, of course, the Hunter in the battle will have the impetus. But what he does have now, of course, is a DRS train, as Quentin has caught the back of Duckster. So these hard tyres, it's not working, this strategy for Duckster, but there's nothing he can do about it now. He can hang on and try and keep, I don't know, maybe 7th place, or he can throw that away and end up potentially behind Top Dog. So it's pretty much having to live with the decision he's made already. Looks like JR dropping back from Phantom as well, and Duckster being in the clutches of Quentin will now be able to allow JR to breathe a little bit easier here, and he's outside of DRS, as now here comes Quentin on Duckster, but not close enough. Lap 25 is started, so 2 complete laps to run, and we will be done with this one. Matrav leads from Phantom and JR, Duckster, Quentin, Shumi, Aimee Alonso, Top Dog and Dom Rabico. Your field as it remains down to 9th place, unfortunately losing the drivers you see on screen at various points in the race, but despite the fact we've had big gaps at various times, we've never struggled for action tonight, Tim.
No, we certainly haven't, and that is honestly a testament to this league, I think, because these drivers, there's no question that these drivers are fast. I know that we talk about Matrav and how he is more than likely going to be winning this race and how he's super fast, but that's not to take away from the rest of the field, who are still very, very fast in their own right, and they can certainly hold their own around this racetrack. And so we actually have Quentin going for a move on Duckster, goes around the Alpine. Will he be able to clear him? Yes, he does. Move Quentin up into the 4th position. Duckster back to 5th, and now not Shumi going to try to get around the Alpine.
Yeah, beautiful move there from Quentin, just throwing the car around, as of course this grip allows him to, versus Duckster. Duckster looking like he's almost in a different league in terms of grip levels, as now surprising him comes Not Shumi up into 5th place before the next DRS zone. Not Shumi wanting to stay on the back of Quentin, and it's not happening, so Quentin is now up into P4, and with eyes firmly fixed on the back of the Haas car of JR, who is in the final podium position. Not Shumi, Duckster coming back, and Not Shumi. Brilliant stuff to see.
So Duckster, he's got a little bit of life left in those hard tires, if only a little bit, but it has come alive at the exact moment that he needs. 5th place is better than 6th place. If you can't get a podium, if you can't get a win, at least get the best finishing position that you can. That's what Duckster is thinking about right now, and so far it is working for him, but so is Not Shumi, who is trying so desperately to get out of the 6th position that he has stayed in for what seems to be forever, but it's probably only a handful of laps. But try telling him that he wants a top 5.
Check out the battle for P3 as Quentin has caught JR here. This could be a very strong finish between fantastic 2 drivers. Looks like DRS enabled for Quentin. JR making him go a longer way around that semi-curve up to turn 12, and Quentin gets by for the 3rd place. So Quentin in a good place here, running plan A, very much going to plan 11 laps or 12 on the softs, followed by medium run. All the tyres staying in a very comfortable window, but can JR hang on to finish ahead of Duckster? We've started the final lap now, and it's all to play for. I think anyone could finish over the other in this battle here for 4th place. I think the podium might be settled, Matrav, Phantom and Quentin, but all to play for as Duckster chasing down JR. JR's just got to hold on for just less than 1 lap here.
And hold on, well, it's easier said than done. I don't know if you ever remember those motivational settings of just hang in there, baby. Well, that's exactly what everyone is saying to JR Designs right now. 25 laps on the medium tires. That is just insane. His top dog goes a 132.319, and JR Designs, he is really flirting with not making those tires last. He almost got into the wall out of that corner there, but so far he is hanging on to it. Duckster, though, Duckster is his saving grace. Duckster is struggling on his 24-lap-old hard tires.
I think these tyres are going to be screaming for more. That is a point on the track where I think there's rain, and it's just a glitch on the screen. Not Shumi out! Not Shumi out of the race on the final lap. What on earth happened as we see cars pushing hard to finish the race strong? Not Shumi out on the exit of turn 10, but it's Matrav coming towards the end of the race. Matrav with the championship. This is it. Matrav wins in Russia and wins the Season 4 title. Congratulations to Matrav, who takes a very convincing win. I'm not seeing Phantom at the moment. Phantom has crossed the line second from Quintin, who will be very pleased with the podium. Duckster got JR at the end, and JR in a 5th position, sadly dropping 2 places in the final couple of laps. We see Jaime Alonso in P6 crossing the line. Top Dog, I think, I will confirm, but I think got the fastest lap, as only Don Rabico can probably challenge that now on fresh soft tyres. Not Shumi though. Not Shumi, out of the race on the final lap, and Don Rabico will inherit 8th place as a result. But Tim, what a show tonight. What a show.
What a show indeed, Wendell. And unfortunately, I am going to have to leave you now. But it has been fun, and it has been a fantastic race. Congratulations to Matrav on his win today and his championship.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Thanks so much, and hope to see you again in the comms box soon. Thanks to Tim. It's great to have him join us whenever he can and whenever the servers allow him to. Don Rabico then will try to cross the line, will try to get fastest lap. Let's see if he does it. I think he might have, you know. I think he might have got that fastest lap at the end. So Don Rabico, 8th place, a good reward for a long and hard night's racing. JR gets driver of the day, not for the first time, as he ponders his life choices with that particular post-race pose. He said his forehead is dripping and didn't expect to be playing Dirt Rally today on those final laps. So Matrav picks up yet another W here in Russia. Brilliant stuff from this dominant Mercedes driver. Phantom pushed him up to this point, race 10 of the championship, but I believe it's all over. And we have Quentin with a fantastic final race, few laps there, and finishes on 3rd place on the podium. So just to take you through our official race results, Matrav wins with a race time of 45 minutes just over, and takes the win from pole position and a maximum point haul, then followed by Phantom and Quentin from 2nd and 4th respectively. Duckster finished 4th. JR, a strong effort, but just couldn't hold on to those tyres at the end, losing a couple of places and perhaps losing a podium. Jaime Alonso and Top Dog fought for most of the race, and we enjoyed that no end. Don Rabico, the final finisher in the McLaren with the fastest lap on the final lap. We lost Not Shubi during the final lap, so may get a classified finish. And then the rest of the drivers, unfortunately, did not manage to get there. We are assembling drivers as we speak into the press conference, and I'm hoping that they're all going to check their party audio settings are set to share if they have made any change recently. But it's an absolute pleasure, and very glad to be able to speak to Matrav first of all. Matrav, I think congratulations are in order. You are the Season 4 champion.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is it really?
It really is.
Oh, that's a surprise. Yeah, I didn't think that was possible tonight, actually. So, yeah, it wasn't a bad race. Qualifying, not too bad.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what to say, really. I didn't think I could win it tonight, really, unless Phantom, like what, I think finished P6, or P7.
No, I believe with 2 races to go, I think it's confirmed. Certainly, as far as Phantom was concerned, you had to DNF and he had to win almost to take this through. So I think I'm pretty sure that we can say you are champion of Season 4. But today's race, let's talk about today's race. And you said it wasn't too bad. It was okay. It led from pole, breezed away from everybody, and it was pretty easy, right?
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but the race qualifying wasn't too bad. Mediums, I was impressed with that lap. I was I think like 300th of Quinton, I think. and then Phantom just went and destroyed it or something like that. Then yeah, Q3, I was quite annoyed on my last run. There was
we were
3
amazed
tenths.
watching that.
Yeah, there should have been a 0.0, maybe a 29.9 if I got lucky, but yeah, it is what it is. Then the race, well, I mean, starting on the mediums, managed to get an okay start, was kept with Phantom, and then yeah, when I came out, I was P5, P6, I think, with I think about 8-ish laps to go, and I was like, whoa, that's not looking good at the moment. So yeah, it was like head down and well, try and make the best of it, and I managed to make the overtakes that were necessary, and yeah, here we are.
Here we are indeed. Another impressive win, and some great overtakes when it mattered, but frankly it all seemed like it was going your way right from the very start of our session tonight. It looked like everything was pretty much to plan, but yeah, that final lap in Q3, we saw you slide twice, almost clatter the wall on the exit of turn 16, and you still improved by a 10th at the end of it. We were just not able to believe what we were seeing at the time, but all the same, a very strong race from you, Madtrav. Are we going to see some more entertainment in the final 2 races? You're going to do some special stuff for us.
Oh yeah, you bet your bottom dollar.
Nice.
I think we're going to see some last to first. Might try something like that.
Awesome. I think in the live chat, I think we had Lord Mahavir suggesting that you might as well just start on Inters. So
not sure I'm that fast. My name's Odjana Opmir, but I mean, yeah.
Awesome. Well, congratulations and great drive today. Really fun. I must go to Phantom. Phantom, it was a strong race. It looked like it wasn't simple for you, but you got it done in the end, up to P2.
Yeah, I actually quite enjoyed that race. It was a really good one. The undercut worked to perfection.
Nice.
And yeah, qualifying I was struggling a bit because of the track temp and that, but I got it to work towards Q3. But yeah, it was a sweaty race. I didn't expect JR and Duska. I thought they needed to pit again, but apparently not, so good on them. I had to get past the hard way. But yeah, it was a tough race, and congrats to Trav if he did win, I'm not sure. But yeah, and as well as Quentin to come out of nowhere to get a podium. Well done on that.
Absolutely, yeah. Congratulations, though. Another podium, another strong result, but you're just not able to push Madtrav quite as far as we'd like. What do you think is the key to unlocking that final few tenths to be able to take him on?
I need to get a wheel.
Okay. So it's all the equipment. Yeah. It's not the skill in the driver.
No,
it's just the equipment.
Trav's definitely got skill, but you know these youngins.
Yeah. It makes you sick, doesn't it? Makes you sick.
Yeah. But
oh yeah, definitely.
It's always enjoyable to race with these guys.
No, good stuff. Well, good to see, and hopefully another good result for you next week out. And thanks for stopping by the press conference. And finally, we come to our. Well, I'm afraid the name Supreme Leader has kind of stuck between Tim and I on the commentary. But Quentin, congratulations, a podium, a good retribution for a difficult race last time.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Yeah, two DNFs, Imola and Jeddah. So I see this season I either finish on the podium or I have a DNF.
Nice.
That's all. So yeah, I'm very consistent. It's either or. No, I'm very happy with today's podium. The qualifying didn't go as planned, same as Phantom struggled a little bit to get the power down, and it just didn't go smoothly. I'm sure he could have gained more time on his laps, and so could I. But yeah, P4 was okay. There was a bit of chaos behind us, so I don't know what happened. But
I was going to ask anyone if they saw what happened in the mirrors, because we just saw cars all over the road. I saw at least two cars skewing off into the pit lane exit and off screen. We lost 4 cars in the first few meters of the race.
Yeah, I have no idea. I was about to make an overtake, or I went side by side with Notsumi, I think, and as soon as yellow flags came out, I just backed out of it. But yeah, it was a lonely race in the beginning. The top 3 really pulled away from me. I think I was just running too much downforce, and on the straight I could just see them, disappearing a couple of tenths down the straight. But yeah, after I put on the mediums, I had to work really hard to catch Nochimi. Successfully caught him, and yeah, then just catching the JR and Dixter on the older tires. And luckily I pitted early because I wanted to stay out 2-3 laps longer, and if I did, I wouldn't have caught them towards the end. So I'm glad I went in when I did. So yeah, P3 I'm very happy with.
Excellent stuff, and a good reward hopefully for all the effort and time it takes to run this league and make everything happen on a Tuesday night. And we're all very grateful for all the effort that goes in, and so any neutrals watching are definitely cheering you on. So great to see a good result after some difficult ones. So congrats on another podium. I think JR's joined us for an honourable mention, who was in the podium positions for the majority of the race. JR, have you recovered? Have you cooled down? Are you able to talk now?
Just about. It's the legs that are hurting. But yeah, felt like Poland on a wet rainy night on Dirt Rally 2.0. But
how bad were those tyres at the end? How bad were they?
Like treacherous. Bad don't suit it. They were dark red. It was good fun, but I think if I didn't spin, I locked the rears, which is it was an odd spin when I did spin on the mediums. I'll be honest, I didn't plan on pitting before the spin anyway. I thought I had the pace, and I was keeping an eye on my percentage of the tyres, and it was looking to go to around 70%. So I thought I'd take the risk, because I know if I pit now, it's just going to be a catch-up game, and I'll lose my head, and I'll just end up spinning. So I thought I'd do that, and then I don't know what it was. I think I just went over the curb slightly a bit differently than my past lines, and the rears just locked them. I just couldn't get them unlocked.
Yeah. Okay. We saw a very interesting strategy where you went into the pits after 2 laps during the safety car. Yeah. You put on soft tyres for 1 lap, burnt them out, came back round, put the same medium set on that you started the race on. Talk me through that decision.
I just the delta on the mediums was only 5-6 tenths. They felt good in qualifying, and I'm really poor at qualifying. It's something I need to really sort out. So if they felt that good in quali, I knew they'd be good in the race. And I just thought that the mediums would trump softs from the get-go. And I think they did, because I had Simps behind me.
Yeah.
We did plan on letting each other through if one seemed faster than the other, but I just didn't think they would be. And I proved right. I gained a good few positions past the hard runners, which held me up. Sorry to Dunkster. I didn't do anything terrible to him, but while I was following him, I don't know what. It's probably the connection, but when you're so close to someone,
a couple of times you seemed to run into the back,
slightly.
Didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Then I did my best to try and keep it in DRS as an apology, but yeah, tough race. But P5 is better than what I think I would have got if I pitted when I planned.
So you planned to try and get 26 laps out of those mediums. It wasn't an error coming into the pits choosing the tyres, or
no?
You weren't relying on.
It's absolute fun.
Wow, yeah. I mean, if that's what you call fun, then you've certainly had it, because that looked like a tough last 2 or 3 laps.
It was really fun. I was enjoying it. Yeah.
It looked like Duxter's hards went off almost the same rate as your mediums. You both seemed to run out of grip towards the end of that race.
I think I'm just trying to think of where I would have placed with that spin, because I lost 6-7 seconds to Duxter. I think that could have got me a spot on P3, maybe P4, but yeah, fun either way.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for stopping by and kind of crashing the podium party, but you definitely deserve to get on the interviews, no less because of the effort gone into it tonight. But yeah, hard lines, but a great race, and it was fun watching you all the same. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to close the stream off shortly. Thanks to everyone who's watched, who liked and subscribed to the video. Thanks to our sponsors. Those are, just as a reminder at the end of the stream, that's Quintessential Photo and Video Works, DR Developments and Arabico Holdings. And I've been Webbo. The other voice you've been hearing through the majority of the race is Tim. You can find me on Twitter at WebboRed5 if you want to follow my output. But until next time, we have 2 races to go. There's a 2-week break until the next race, and we will see what kind of entertainment Matrav is willing to put on for us. But I will see you soon and catch you on the next race day.